MCOM, Vidyalankar School of Information Technology, welcome you all to the 4 days Fintech Workshop on application of blockchain in finance, accountancy, and banking sector. Before we proceed, I would like all of you to join for Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा।
Swagati.
Yes. Education is a lifelong process by which people learn new ways of action and thought. It encourages changes in behavior, which aims at improving the human conditions. And when technology go along with domain education, creates wonder. It plays a vital role in introducing new ethos of the society among the students and researchers. Vidyalankar School of Information Technology has a belief in nurturing this thought process. And as a result, here we are with this workshop, which is a blend of technology and various domains. VSIT culture has grown because of confidence and motivation of its principal, Dr. Rohini Kelkar. I would like to invite our principal ma'am, Dr. Rohini Kelkar, to address the gathering. Ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Swagatika. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this workshop, Fintech Workshop, specially arranged by our Department of MCOM, the Postgraduate Department of Commerce. In this particular current situation, only two things have made us survive and perhaps function the way we were functioning last year. One is finance and another is technology. Particularly for Vidyalankar College, I would like to tell all of you that we have conducted all our activities which we were conducting in the pre-COVID situation, of course, on the online mode. We had all our conferences, all our programs, various workshops, and sports activities, students, all college annual day, everything we could handle, we could conduct through the technology, through this online mode. And I'm really, I should appreciate the work done by the teachers of Vidyalankar College and all stakeholders, the students, everybody accepted this challenge as an opportunity. Now, opportunity is that now today's workshop, for example, we would have been very happy to invite you all on our campus, very beautiful campus at Vadala. But because we could not do so, so we thought that we will at least give you some glimpses, and that's why we started with the video of our campus. But then an opportunity, because if it was a physical workshop, perhaps many of you would not have been able to attend that. Because I'm really very happy to announce over here that we have received participation from all over India. And that shows the importance of fintech in today's world. And so I, on at the outset, welcome all the participants, because it is because of you people, because of the participants, that whatever efforts we are taking, they become fruitful. Uh, I also welcome and thank all our guest speakers. Today's guest speaker, Shri Bansal, and other three guest speakers which we have got for the remaining 3 days. They are experts in their field, and of course everybody is busy because it is a finance sector, but then they accepted our invitation, and we all are very eagerly waiting for hearing from them. So I once again welcome all of you. I really thank that so many in big number have been able to take advantage of this type of a workshop. I hope everything technically goes well, because all our teachers and our technical assistants are working on that. So I'm sure you will all be able to take fullest possible advantage of this workshop. Thank you very much, and I hand over it to Dr. Swagatika.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants, this is to inform you that we have received almost more than 600 registrations, and right now we have crossed 240 participants right now, and we are going live in YouTube also. Today we are discussing a new disruptive force of digital technology that is changing the business model and increasingly becoming a crucial factor around the world. Yes, that is blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is generating significant interest across a wide range of industries in not only India, but also worldwide. As the field of applications for blockchain grows, industry leaders are customizing and tailoring the technology to fit multiple use cases. The blockchain technology is responsible for developing a next step in the decentralized approach for creating applications. This hugely requires a domain plus knowledge of technology. The orientation of this workshop is to bridge this gap. I'm sure this workshop will fulfill your expectation. Without further delay, let me introduce you with today's resource person, Mr. Lavneet Bansal. Mr. Lavneet Bansal is a chartered accountant, certified information system auditor, and certified fraud examiner. Recently, he is working with Block Shrinkla Technologies as manager, where he is responsible for executing varied projects across the organization, assisting CFO and CXO of the organization. Prior to this, he worked as assistant manager, internal audit, in the same organization, where he was into the process of reviewing across the organization and to evaluate design and operating effectiveness of controls that are applied. Apart from this, he has served to Ernst & Young, Radisson Consulting, Mahindra & Mahindra Limited as consultant, where he dealt with fraud investigations, system audit, ITGC reviews, IT governance controls reviews, and handled compliance team for regulatory framework and procedures. The wide range of skills and experience makes him an expert in this domain. So let's invite our today's resource person, Mr. Lavneet Bansal. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Swagitka ma'am, for the introduction. And thank you so much, Rohini ma'am and Prathma ma'am, for inviting me and sharing my experience, the knowledge which I've gained over the last few years. So guys, my name is Lavneet Bansal and I'm working with ZepPay. ZepPay is one of the cryptocurrency exchanges operating in India. So we create solutions digital asset crypto solutions and blockchain solutions for our customers across the globe. So I'll try to share like what I have learned with in the last 2 years with this organization, with this in this space. Because say when finance and technology meets, you can create wonders out of that. So without taking much time, I'll start my presentation, and I hope like by the end of this session you have a good knowledge of like what blockchain is and what its potential is. All right, guys, let's start the presentation, and I'll be happy if I can see some of the faces, because like I don't prefer having a monologue. So it would be great if we can have the cameras on. Okay, I'm one second. Okay, coming on the topic blockchain, the very first question comes to our mind is like, what is blockchain? All right. So blockchain is nothing but it is ledger where we record transactions. All right. Transactions could be for anything: purchase, sale, accounting entries. All right. So it's a ledger. But what makes this ledger special? Okay. So there are a couple of things which makes this ledger special. Okay. First, this ledger is distributed. This ledger is unalterable. Okay, now coming on these two words, unalterable and distributed. What does unalterable means? Like you cannot go and change any entries. So when you are doing entries in Tally, any other accounting system, it's possible to go and change the entries or amend the entries. Okay, so how, but in blockchain, that is not the case. All right, and how that is happens, like let me just show you an example. Say this is a notebook. All right, these have blank pages. If I take any page out, if somebody takes any page out from this notebook, I won't come to know like somebody has taken a page out. But what happens if I number these pages 1, 2, 3, 4? So what will happen is, if somebody takes a page out, I'll come to know, okay, somebody has taken a page out, but but still one problem happens. Say in this book somebody comes and changes some content over here, the page number remains the same. All right, but the ledger has been altered. Okay, so what blockchain does is it creates a summary of my first page. Okay, it attaches that summary with the page number of the second page. Okay, this is done via various crypto algorithms. So what happens? It creates a link. So if I change my first page, my second page will also change. So how this happens is, what the blockchain system does, it takes the input of the first page, it creates a hash out of this. A hash is a random number which is generated via crypto algorithms like SHA-256, SHA-512, where you have an alphanumeric character, which is just a summary of what is the content. So what happens is, from this summary, the hash, you cannot create the content, but you can come to know whether this content has changed. a single period, a single comma will change my hash. So what blockchain does is basically it takes the hash of the first page and it links it with the header, which is page number of the next page. So basically, blockchain is a technology that permits transactions to be gathered into a block. It cryptographically chains these blocks in a chronological order. And the result is a ledger which can be accessed by different nodes and servers, which are participants on the blockchain. We will come on like what is nodes, what are servers, all right, in the later stage of the presentation. Now coming on like the second word which I said was distributed. What does distributed means? Okay, distributed, before we go to the word distributed, let's understand what's the word centralized means. Centralized means you have one central authority who controls everything. It is like, say, take for example, a bank account. I have a bank with HDFC. The account, the ledger is created, controlled by HDFC. It makes all my debit credit entries. And at the end of the month, it gives me a statement. So what happens is the single source of truth is with HDFC. I cannot go and check their records. If I find some mistake in my statement, I have to go and convince the bank, okay, listen, boss, there is a mistake in the transaction. I have not done this. Please reverse this. What will happen? They will go back in their system, they will check, and they'll come back to me. If I do it like within a reasonable period, like 15 days, 30 days of the transaction, it's quite possible the bank will reverse the transaction. But what happens if I do it after say 6 months? Then it becomes difficult. It's not real time. Now coming on the distributed ledger. So what happens in a distributed ledger? HDFC has a copy of the ledger. I have a copy of the ledger. Other customers also have a copy of the ledger. All the entries, all the records, everyone has access. So like then the question arises like, okay, if everyone has a copy of the ledger, who takes the decision to add the entry? Okay, the decision is taken by all. It's like reaching a consensus. Consensus in blockchain can be reached by various methods. It is basically called consensus mechanism. There are different algorithms like proof of work, proof of stake, which helps in reaching a consensus among all the participants in a blockchain. So we will talk about proof of stake and proof of work a little later. So basically, if you see the centralized ledger, there are multiple ledgers, but the bank holds the golden record. And in a blockchain, there is only one ledger, a single source of truth, and the true state of the ledger is always determined by all the people who are part of the network. No single person can control the ledger. Now, like we have understood these two terms, what unalterable means and what distributed means. Now let's see how blockchain functions, how actually the blockchain, a transaction on the blockchain works. Okay, so there are 5 steps in a blockchain transaction. First is a transaction. The second is the block creation. Third is verification. Fourth, hash. And fifth, execution. So let's see how actually this transaction will look like. So say I want to send 1 Bitcoin to Swagatika ma'am. All right. So thing is, I'm taking the example of Bitcoin because it's the most famous public blockchain out there. Okay, so what happens, say I want to send 1 Bitcoin. I will go in my wallet. Okay, wallet is just a place where you store your cryptocurrencies. It can be a software or it can be a hardware, something like this, where you store your different cryptocurrencies. Say I am storing my Bitcoin on this wallet. So what will happen is I will go in my wallet. I will create a transaction. Creating a transaction is similar, like you log into your net banking. You say you want to pay so much amount to so and so person, and you authorize that transaction. How you authorize that transaction? You get an OTP on your mobile or on your email. So how in blockchain this thing happens is I create a transaction, I sign that transaction with my private key. So private key is a alphanumeric long string of words which I only have access. And this is kind of a password. So if I lose my private key, I will lose access to my Bitcoins. It's similar to like how you have your password to your net banking. So you can think password as a private key. Okay, what will happen is now I will say, okay, send. When I click send, what happens? This transaction is sent to the nodes in the network. Okay, what these nodes does is it clubs all the transactions which it receives, say every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, into a block. Okay, and it solves a mathematical puzzle. This mathematical puzzle like can be based on proof of work or proof of stake. All right, what it basically does is it authenticate, and also what it does, it checks whether Lavneet is having access to these Bitcoin or not, or Lavneet is trying to overspend his account. Say these are checks available in your bank account. Say when you go and transfer, you have 1 lakh rupees available and you try to send 1,25,000. The bank won't let you do it. On the blockchain, this check happens at the miner level when the block is being verified. What the miner does is like it combines all the transaction. It uses a nonce to find a hash like which meets the difficulty requirement. So this difficulty requirement is basically kind of a puzzle which is set by the blockchain network. So no one person decides, it is decided automatically. Once this miner has find the solution to this puzzle, what it does, it transmits this block to everyone in the network. So there is like not only like in case of bank, take an example, once you click send, it's only bank who validates the transaction and it sends further for crediting into the other party account. Here, to cross check, it's a maker checker control kind of thing, all right, to verify whether the created block is correct or not. Others in the system verifies. Once others says, okay, this is a correct solution to the puzzle, they append that block into the blockchain, the existing blockchain. So any new block would be appended to this new block. And once this block is added to the blockchain, the transaction will be complete. Swagitika ma'am will see the Bitcoin in her crypto wallet. Anyone has like, if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Like you can put it in the chat box and we will take it later on, because I know this stuff is a little technical. So there will be a lot of questions. So please feel free to write your questions in the chat box. Now we talk briefly about the cryptography, like where in the blockchain, like cryptography plays a very, very important role, a very, very vital role. So what exactly in what places the cryptography is used? Okay. First, at the time of initiation of the transaction, where I am signing the transaction with my private key, and when I'm broadcasting that. So what the miner also does is it checks whether the signature on the transaction matches my public key. So the digital signatures work on a concept called public key infrastructure, where a person has two set of keys. One is a public key, one is a private key. So to compare it with the banking system, C is your bank account number as a public key and your password to your net banking portal as a private key. Okay. The second place where the cryptography is used while validating the transaction, basically proof of work and proof of stake. So what does proof of work means? Okay. What happens is like there are thousands of network or people who have joined the blockchain network. They're trying to create the block, because on a public blockchain, when you create a block, you get rewarded. So nobody, and in order to reach the consensus who has actually created the block, we have to have some mechanism. So what happens under proof of work is the block which the miner is creating, the ultimately this block will be represented by a hash. That this hash would be like probably 256 characters in length. So what the system does is the blockchain system tells the miner, okay, for creating this hash, your first 64 digit should be zero. Okay, so what these guys does, they take all the transition and they add a random number to see if the output hash is having 64 leading zeros or not. So they do this calculation hundreds of times by changing this random number. So this random number in blockchain parlance, it's called nonce. So nonce is nothing but a random number. There is another way to achieve this consensus. It's called proof of stake, where proof of stake, what happens is like if I'm holding say Ethereum, which is a blockchain which will be working on proof of stake pretty soon, I have to lock my Ether on the Ethereum blockchain. The more the amount of Ethereum I have locked, probably I'll get a chance to create the new transactions in that proportion. It's basically like you have the faith in that system. So proof of work and proof of stake are two algorithms to achieve consensus, which is basically agreement among all the parties. Whose transaction, whose block is correct. The last one is chaining of the block, basically taking the block, all the transaction, the hash which is created, and linking this hash with the next block. So what happens is if anything changes in between, my entire blockchain will become invalid. So from there, the property of unalterable comes. We have seen till now like how blockchain works and what are the some places where cryptography is used in the blockchain. The next is like why blockchain? Why not any other technology? We have like this, the banks are running fine. Okay, you don't have seen any much problem. So what advantage blockchain brings? Okay, so the first advantage the blockchain brings is decentralization, which means no single party controls the ledger, no single party controls have significant control over the system, because in case of banks, it is a centralized institution. It can unilaterally choose to close your accounts next day. It can post entries. What happens is, say, the bank charges, the quarterly bank charges. Bank doesn't come and ask you, do you want to pay these charges? All right. It just passes a debit entry at the end of the quarter. It sends you a message. We have debited your account for the so and so for the quarterly charges. But in blockchain, that doesn't happen. A person cannot unilaterally take a decision. He has to take a decision with everyone. He has to reach an agreement with all the parties involved. Just a second. I think something happened. Uh, yeah, now it's okay. I'm sorry for that hiccup. The next point is transparency. So the blockchain is transparent. When I say transparent, what does that mean? Is everyone have anyone can go on the blockchain system and can see the transactions. It is open to all. You can audit the all the transactions, what is happening on the blockchain. All right, it's not a closed system where on the bank you can only see your transactions. Okay, it is, and you have to like trust the bank like it is making the right entries. The next is immutability, which we just discussed previously, which means nothing but unalterable. So the blockchain is alterable. I won't say it's unalterable, but it's not feasible. So because if you have a blockchain, what happens is if you go and change the very first block, then you have to edit all the blocks, subsequent blocks. And this takes a lot of computational power. And it's not feasible to spend that much resources because the computational power needed to change or edit the blockchain grows exponentially with every block added. So currently, no one has that much computational power. Nobody control that much computational power. The next feature of the blockchain is smart contracts. Smart contracts is nothing but contracts programmed on the blockchain with if-then conditions. Okay, if-then condition means basically if X happens, then do Y. Like similar to the Excel function of if formula in the Excel, where you say if a condition, what happens when the condition is true and what will happen if the condition is false. Okay. Somebody's trying to say anything. It seems like. Okay, now coming on the next point, what are the types of blockchain? Okay, so we have three different types of blockchain. One is a public blockchain, second is a private blockchain, and the third is a consortium blockchain. The public blockchain is like the most famous of all is the Bitcoin and the Ethereum blockchain. These blockchains are fully decentralized, meaning like anyone can go and join these networks. I can go and become a node on the blockchain. You can go and become a node. All it takes a system, a laptop, not laptop, like probably you won't be able to download the full blockchain, but a system, if you have access to a good system, you can become a miner on these blockchains. Another thing is these blockchains are censorship resistant. Censorship resistant means like the government has very little control over like in controlling these blockchains. They are not very easy to shut down because it's like the people who are creating these who are the participants, and if you control like say government in one country is trying to shut it down, people in the other countries are there who will be supporting these blockchains, these public blockchains. And these blockchains normally has a token associated with them. When I say token, a token is not can be a utility token, a governance token, or a collectible token. So token is nothing like say, for an example, Bitcoin is a utility token, Ethereum is a utility token. Then comes your private blockchain. So private blockchain tends to be more centralized in nature. When I say more centralized, it has like a limited number of people who would be controlling, who can be a participant of the blockchain. So enterprises tend to favor private blockchains because that gives them more control over the data, over who can view, and and so when they are having the control, so people would be needing the consent to join. So the transactions on the private blockchain are private in nature. You and me can't go and see those transactions. You need permission of the organization who are controlling the private blockchain. So examples of a private blockchain is Corda, Hyperledger. These are different enterprise blockchains being developed by different companies. Okay, the next comes is a consortium blockchain. Consortium blockchain, you can call it as a subset of a private blockchain. So this works on a collaborative model. Say, pharma industry can have a blockchain to track their supply chain. So all the participants of the pharma industry, say GSK, Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, would be participants in this model. So definitely one company, the companies don't want to share their data with each other, but this brings more efficiencies. So they work on a concept called frenemies. Say they are competitors in the market, but when it comes for if achieving efficiencies, scale, they come together. So participants can be central bank, industry members, like I just gave an example, or anyone, any kind of other organizations, say be, you can like anyone, the consortium chooses. Um, Now coming on the smart contracts. So we just spoke about smart contracts. So I just want to briefly run you through what are smart contracts, what are their features, and where you can use these smart contracts. Okay, so smart contracts are simple programs with a if-then conditions. So they run automatically if the conditions are met. You don't need any human intervention to run these contracts. What happen? So the benefits which smart contracts bring are these transactions, the smart contract transactions are very fast. Since you don't need any manual inputs, they trigger automatically, so they are lightning fast. They are pretty much accurate because again, there is no manual input, so the chances of error reduce. They have a lower cost since automated, once you bring in an automation in any place, your other cost reduces the, say, the staffing cost, the resources cost, the time cost. And because these contracts can function 24/7, whereas human cannot. And there is no execution risk. When I say execution risk is the person is not available to do a transaction, but on a smart contract, this is not the case. Okay. One point I want to make, the on the accuracy part, okay, the smart contract is as good as the code behind it. Say, if the code is accurate, the input is correct, the output would be correct. But if the input is wrong, there is a bug in the contract code itself, then there won't be any accuracies. Places where these smart contracts can be used. Okay, one is the very foremost place where this can be used is in the trade clearing. Well, trade clearing, what I mean by trade clearing is most of you would be trading on the stock exchanges. So what happens when you buy a security today, say a share of Reliance, this will be credited in your demat account after 2 days. Okay, so there is a time lag. Now, what can happen is on a smart contract, the moment you purchase a Reliance share, it is being validated. Okay, you have purchased this thing, purchase a share. It can be immediately credited in your demat account. So this will like take a lot of intermediaries out, a lot of reconciliation which is happening in the backend. Another place where smart contract can have a major role to play is micro payments and micro lending. So micro payments is a concept like the current payment systems which we have doesn't allow you to transfer 50 paise, 20 paise, 30 paise, very small denominations. Like you can transfer, but what happens is the cost is very prohibitive. To transfer say 30 paise to someone, I would be paying 5 rupees. So if I go and look at the cost, it's very high. And in a connected world, say when I say connected world, it is an application of AI, IoT, blockchain. There, these micropayments would be very instant. I'll give you an example. Okay, say consider this example of like we are having these autonomous vehicles. With, a lot of companies are working on this thing. You are going say from point A to point B. So your vehicle will basically choose, okay, from which is the best or the fastest route. Okay, it will take that route automatically. Along the way, if you encounter any traffic, so these are autonomous vehicles, these are smart vehicles. What they can do is, with the help of IoT devices, they can communicate with each other. So if you are in a hurry, you can negotiate with the car in front of you. If you let your car pass, you will pay the vehicle certain amount. Okay, these can be like in very small amount. So these transactions can automatically be settled via smart contracts. Or another example is like the car will take you through a route where you see different billboards. Okay, basically for viewing the billboards, you will get paid. Okay, and like the question comes, okay, like this is stupidity, like why I get paid to view a billboard, but the companies want your attention to that is they are paying for your attention. They're not just viewing that ad, that billboard. So the micro payments help over there. Now we have discussed the smart contracts. Now let's come on the core of the subject, like which we had the title of this workshop, the blockchain use case in finance. Okay, the very first case, like I have selected three cases to discuss with you guys. These are in pilot stages at different levels. One thing with the blockchain is like apart from the public blockchains, you won't see a large scale adoption right now. The reason being the projects are still in pilot phases. So once these pilot phases are cleared, the learnings have been incorporated in the systems, you will slowly see mass scale adoption because this technology is just 10 years old. The very first, say we all are from the commerce background, like majority of us, and accounting is into our core. The first topic, like I have the first use case I've selected is triple entry accounting. The second use case I have selected is trade finance. The third is cross-border payments. Okay, now coming on the triple entry accounting system. Any one of you can give me like why we need, what is the problem with the double entry accounting system? Anyone, like in the comments, like I'm waiting for, like you can put in your thoughts in the comments or I'll start calling the name. Okay, reconciliation, Sakshi replied. So the question is like, what you think are the problem with the current double entry accounting system? Storage of data. Okay. Duality. That's something I like. I couldn't understand what you mean, Deva Kunda. Reconciliation again. All right. Dependency on the management and auditors leading to scams. That's a very good point, Sakshi. Storing large data. Okay. Come on, guys. You can like think, just think what's the issue with the double entry accounting system. We got very two good points, reconciliation and the scams. Accuracy, yes, that's the time exact. That's also a problem. Incorrect entries, yes. Overwriting, okay. Involving cryptography, okay. All right, like we have like good reconciliation, scams, time, incorrect entries. Those are all correct answers. So let's see. Okay, before we go into the triple entry accounting system, the double entry accounting system was codified somewhere in the 1400s. So in the last 600, 700 years, the system has not seen any major changes or innovations. I say like double entry accounting system doesn't itself has any challenges. Okay, what is the problem is the governance standard has like gone so down today that public has lost faith in it. And why public has lost faith? The reason, Enron scam. At the start of the millennium, we knew Enron was a big entity into the energy sector, but they had like a lot of liability which was not on their books. With the help of a little creative accounting, they shifted those liabilities off the books. And the auditors claimed we knew nothing. But it's our job as auditors to know. The 2008 subprime crisis, which led to the downfall of Lehman Brothers, Satyam scam in India, the 7,000 crore by Ramalingam Raju. Common thing in across all this is accounting. There was a case of creating accounting involved. When I say creative account management was trying to hide liabilities, inflate revenues. Basically, the books of account was not giving a creative, correct picture. And when auditors go and check, these accounting schemes are so complex, like it's not possible to go and check in that 15 days time, 20 days time, or a 1 month's time for the auditor. Because these organizations are so huge, they have so complex accounting systems, it's not possible. So what's the case available? All right. What's the use? What is a system available like where we can overcome these things? What Another challenge with double entry accounting system, as a lot of you rightly pointed out, it's in intercompany reconciliations, your vendor reconciliations. So a lot of time gets spent in having vendor reconciliation just to reconcile the data reconciliation, whether both the parties have the same balances, and if there are any differences, what's the reason for that? So how does a triple entry accounting system work? So let's say we have two sets of books. One is Alice, one is Bob. Okay, Alice has taken a loan of 50,000 from, has given a loan, yeah, has taken a loan from, has given a loan, fuck, all right, my bad. Okay, so let's look at this transaction, okay. In the Alice, Bob is debited by 50,000 rupees. Okay. And in the Bob's book, Alice is debited by credited by 50,000 rupees. So Alice is a creditor to Bob, and Bob is a debtor to Alice. So Alice has to receive money from Bob, 50,000 rupees. So if these two companies work in silos, the Alice and Bob, so what will happen is it's possible Bob will, what it will say, it will take 1 0 out. Okay, and it will say Bob owes to Alice only 5,000 rupees. At the end of the year, when the auditors will come, they will reach out to Alice. They will ask for a balance confirmation. This balance confirmation may or may not arrive. And this exercise happens at the end of the year. This is not real time. So what we do is we add a third dimension to this process. The third dimension is a public ledger, all right, where this entry is cryptographically added on the blockchain, where both Alice and Bob confirms we have entered into a transaction of 50,000, and they sign that transaction. So you can do a real-time reconciliation. The auditors can do a real-time accounting. And this concept is not new. This concept was got first proposed back in the 1980s by Professor Eugene Idri. Okay, but at that time there were systems were not available, so this didn't got that much traction. So what Eugene Idri had proposed that all transactions would be simultaneously posted in three places. One at party A book, second in party B book, and third with a third independent party. Okay, the independent party can be like your registrar or anyone else. Okay, and this was further boosted by a white paper published in 2005 by Ian Gregg. So Ian Gregg is a financial cryptographer. He has worked a lot on the blockchain and the crypto systems. So he had a paper titled Triple Entry Accounting System. So where he proposed a method to cryptographically sign these transactions and add it on a public ledger. So this paper come like 4 years or 5 years before the first blockchain came into the picture. And in the last couple of years, 3-4 years, a lot of companies are working on creating solutions for triple entry accounting system. One line, what Ian Gregg said, and like which I truly believe, like it's very tough to lie when everyone is watching. So I won't say like there won't be the triple entry accounting system will completely take out the fraud from the picture. Frauds will still happen, but the quantum will reduce because management knows they are being watched continuously. Okay, and the down you can see three names: Passio, Blockledger, and Origraph. These are the three companies which are working on a solution for triple entry accounting system. Everyone follows a different approach while implementing this solution. I'll highly recommend you guys to go and check these websites out, their solution. That will give you a lot of insights like how exactly triple entry accounting system works in reality. Now coming on to the second topic, which is trade finance. So the international trade is worth $17.5 trillion every year. And around 80% of that is dependent on trade finance, which comes to $14 trillion. And trade finance is a very paper intensive process right now. It has not seen that much digitization. The bill of lading, all that still passes in digital form, but a lot of human intervention is there. So, what you guys think the current problem with trade finance is? Like, if you have any practical experiences, if you can share um, in the chat box. So, what you think the problem with the current trade finance is? Come on, guys. You can have like you can give some answers. Duplicity. Okay. Yes, a lot of work gets repeated. So there are definitely redundancies in the current process. Time taking, yes. Difference in currencies, yes. Long-term process. Genuineness, yes. That's a very one point, like how you will. Okay, so um, now the current system, what it does is that the banks give credit only to people who are having reputable business, who are creditworthiness. They have the cash available on their balance sheet. They have a reputation. The small SMSEs, small and medium term small and medium scale enterprises gets neglected, like or because they don't have that cash rich businesses. Okay, another thing which happens is the bank validates the documents, the credit history, but they don't look at the actual cargo, like which is being traded. Okay, the reason being is the cargo provenance. Cargo provenance means like whether the cargo exists. That's one reason that bank doesn't give collateral against the cargo which is being traded, and they give preference to the credit history of the customer. There is delay in deliveries because the process is very paper intensive. This topic, this we just spoke like the cargo provenance. Financing is not, you cannot use the cargo as collateral, and the entire process is susceptible to fraud and errors because there is a lot of manual intervention. So let's see like how blockchain can help in streamlining the trade finance process and how it can help the small and medium scale enterprises. Okay, before I take you through the this process flow, I wanted to explain one concept which is called NFT. NFT means non-fungible tokens. So you can, in the trade finance parlance, you can consider it as the digital bill of lading, which resides on a blockchain. So whoever controls this NFT controls the ownership of the goods. So what happens in this case? The buyer and seller agrees on the terms. All right, they do the sale, they do the transaction. The seller goes to the trade finance party. Okay, in this case, we take trade forward as a trade finance provider. It will go to trade forward team, sorry. The trade forward team will define the contract terms. Okay, these are the terms of the finance. They will issue an NFT to the shipper. This NFT basically is a digital bill of lading which proves ownership. They inspect the cargo. Depending on the inspection result, they will update the cargo value. They will ask the seller to transfer that NFT to trade forward team, which is the financer in this case. Okay, the ship will embark from the seller's place to the buyer's place. buyer's place, what will happen is these container in which the goods are being transported will also have IoT devices. Okay, these IoT devices, what they check is where the cargo is lying. Has there been any tampering done? Okay, and it will keep on sending this data to the parties, and this data can be publicly viewed on the blockchain. At the destination of arrival, the trade forward team, which is the financer in this case, will send a notice to the consignee saying, okay, your shipment is here. Please transfer the funds into an escrow account. So they are asking the funds to be transferred into an escrow account. Say if tomorrow there is a dispute, so it can be settled. So both parties are not at loss at the beginning. Once that amount is transferred to the escrow account, the shipper will transfer the NFT to the escrow account. So both the amount and the bill of lading is now with the escrow account. Cargo is inspected at the destination port. If the cargo is accepted by the consignee, the escrow account will transfer the NFT to the consignee so he can go and take the delivery. If not, then the insurance claim will get triggered. So there are a lot of, it involves IoT, it involves blockchain in the finance process. And all this thing happens digitally on the blockchain. So at every place, you know where your goods are there, in what condition the goods are, whether there is any tampering, okay, whether has been any tampering done. So if we can prove that the goods are not tampered, where the goods are, so the banks won't be that much hesitant to give trade finance against the goods as a collateral. So a couple of companies are working in this space. One is Straightforward. So it is a Europe-based company which has created a pilot. Then there is UAE Trade Connect. This system, this platform has gone live, I think, a week back. So this has connected 7 banks in the UAE for trade finance. And then there is Contour. Contour is again a blockchain-based company which is working in trade finance. Okay, now if you guys have any questions on the triple entry accounting system or trade finance, please mention those in the chat box. We will take that thing in some time. Now coming on the third, cross-border payments. The cross-border payments currently is being facilitated by the SWIFT network. Okay, and in 2016, the Central Bank of Bangladesh lost $81 million because of compromised SWIFT credentials. Okay, and if any of you have transferred money from India to any other country, you would have experienced the delay and the cost. So what happens, like currently, the cost involved is like around 7% to do a cross-border payment. The time it takes is 2 to 3 days. Like, we have gone so much digital, it should not take more than minutes, but still to send money from India to say Germany, US, Canada, it takes me 3 days. And 7% is not a small amount. All right, like that is a lot from today's standard. And one very peculiar thing in the Bangladesh bank heist case, like the SWIFT network, which was compromised. All right, what happens in the SWIFT, like we'll take in the next example, there are 2 layers in the cross-border payment transaction. One is a settlement layer and one is a communication layer. When I say communication layer, it's basically the messages which gets passed between the parties, which SWIFT facilitates. And second is a transaction layer or the settlement layer, where the actual entries happen. So this settlement layer is currently in silos. So the bank A does not speak with bank B and bank B does not speak with bank C. They rely on these third parties to facilitate these transactions. Okay, so now let's look how a typical cross-border payment transaction happens, say I have a bank account with HDFC. I want to, so not HDFC, like let's say Saraswat Cooperative Bank. Okay. So I go to my bank, I'll say, okay, I have purchased some goods from Germany. I want to transfer this money to this vendor in Germany. Please do the transfer. So what I have to go, I have to fill a manual application form in the bank. I'll give it to them. They will do a RTGS bank with a bank in India, which is having a SWIFT relationship with some bank in Europe. This bank will, the bank B, basically, like say, has a relationship with the bank C in Amsterdam. They will send a SWIFT message, okay, please credit so and so account, all right, with so and so euros or dollars. Bank C then again, using their internal payment mechanism, will do the transfer to bank D. Now I have to transfer money from bank A to bank D, but there are 4 banks involved. At every step, every bank is going to take a cut from the transaction. So my cost increases, my time increases, and in this case, the check is the bank B confirming like, okay, I have received from the bank A this much amount. Please settle this to bank C. This is only a communication, not the actual settlement happening. This is different from the settlement. So this is a one-way communication from bank B to bank C. Okay. Now let's just give me a second. Okay. So now let's see how blockchain is helping in reducing this time. Okay. So this is how the blockchain will look like, the settlement on blockchain. You don't have 4 banks involved. You have just 2 banks involved, the sender bank and the receiver bank. What happens is you have a messaging layer, which is a bidirectional, on which both the banks can communicate with each other, and the settlement happens immediately. It's a real-time settlement. So along with the message also goes the settlement transaction. Whether the settlement is success, fail, can be communicated in real time. Okay, and this is being like this. If you see the sender bank, it first transits a message to the second bank, and it also has a sub ledger. This ledger speaks with each other via the blockchain. So if I'm sending say $100, $1,000 to someone in USA, what this will does is it will initiate a message saying Lavneet Bansal is transferring $100,000 to person X in so and so bank. Please credit. The so and so bank is also connected with the blockchain network, and the settlement will happen in real time. So basically, this is a Swift replacement. This is a real time. This system is like currently the very well-known company which is working in this space is Ripple Labs. They have a system called Xcurrent, which is like a lot of bank has already implemented. American Express India, like for an example, uses this network to settle their liabilities with American Express Europe, American Express US, all that. And this is like one of the largest projects and on the blockchain right now. And you can go and experience on their website how the system actually works. So this is not for like the end customers like us. This is more on a banking side solution. Like coming on the solutions for like which is geared towards customer like us is some company called Abra, which is working on. So Abra has like targeted a very niche market of Philippines where they make easy for people outside of Philippines to transfer money in Philippines. So like it's not limited to Philippines, but one of the target markets is Philippines because Philippines has a lot of their population working outside Philippines. So they are like one of the biggest emitters of inward foreign transactions, foreign remittance in the world. And Stellar. So Stellar is again a protocol, a blockchain system. IBM has worked on a pilot project called IBM WorldWire, which it again tested a pilot for cross-border payments. So I'll definitely say like you guys go and check all these three and different blockchain companies in the cross-border payment. Okay, now coming on, the next topic is decentralized finance, DeFi. This is a challenger to my traditional banking. Okay, you guys can see a one number on the screen. Can anyone take a guess what that number means? Guys, take a guess. The population. Okay, this is has to do with the population, but it's China population. Not exactly on Bitcoin blockchain. Okay, I tell you, I give you another hint. This is roughly around 30-31% of the world population. Uh, okay, the distribution of this population looks like something like this: 224 million people in China, 191 million people in India, 29 million people in Russia, 18 million people in bank accounts. Yes, it has to do with bank accounts. All right, let me come to the point. 1.7 billion people lack access to banking facilities in the world. Now, this is 31% of the population. And the thing with the traditional banks is they go and serve the customers who are well capitalized, they go and give credit to the customer who actually don't need it. They go and create branches where it's most profitable for them to serve. They are not into public service kind of thing, like which we say, they're into money making. And that's the reason like we still have like a third of a population without banking access. And what impact does it create? Like when you don't have access to bank accounts, you don't get cheap credit, you don't get facilities to savings, kind of savings instruments. Because of two things, it's difficult for people to come out of the poverty. Your banking services, your banking access is directly related with like the poverty levels. The more people have access to banking facilities, the lower the people below the poverty line. Okay, so how DeFi is challenging the traditional finance. Okay, so what is exactly like DeFi is? DeFi is also called as open finance or decentralized finance. So under decentralized finance, what happens is it's an open alternative to the current financial system. Like anyone can join. It lets you borrow, save, invest, trade. It isn't based on open technology. Like it's basically all you need a smartphone or a laptop with the internet access. And of these, like 30% of the people, a good number of people have access to smartphone technologies, have access to internet. So creating solutions on blockchain to cater to the masses is easy. Okay. The graph what you are seeing right now is like the current total value logged on the DeFi, various DeFi platforms. So DeFi is still a emerging concept. Okay. This has a lot of potential to solve the universal banking access. So if you guys see like this DeFi concept has gained momentum in the last 7-8 months, the value log. I want to like run you through a couple of DeFi websites because this is something like the all the use cases which we discussed till now were like you cannot go and practically experience at this very moment, but DeFi is something like you can experience. So let me run you through a couple of websites. All right. Let me just share my screen. Yeah. Can you guys see the screen? Okay, so this is DeFi Pulse. Like this basically tracks what is happening across the DeFi space. So DeFi is comprised of your lending, your decentralized exchanges, derivatives, payments, and assets. So what means lending is it's P2P lending, where like you have a lot of apps right now. I am not able to recollect the names where you can go and lend someone the amount which is in your fiat. Fiat basically means your national currency is like INR, US dollar, and you get a return out of that on that lending. P2P is similar uh, on the crypto side. We call it as lending. So one of the very famous protocol here is Compound. So Compound is a decentralized bank kind of thing. Okay, this is how Compound looks. So what happens on the Compound is you can go and see like these are the various assets listed on the Compound platform. You can supply means you can go and lend these currencies on the Compound, and you will get 7% interest rates. And you can also borrow from Compound at 9.24 interest percent rates. And another thing what happens is you have to like keep a collateral. The collateral needs to be in crypto right now. So if you have a crypto, you can borrow against that thing. And this is like no one is so the credit underwriting is being decided by the market. Okay, there is no person, no human involvement. You just have to go on the platform. You have to supply your collateral. Say if I want to borrow, say 100,000 USD coin, I probably need to keep a collateral worth $125,000 because they need some collateral. Okay, to cover the risk of defaulting payment. Okay, and it's very easy to interact with these systems like on the, just give me a second. I can, no, this is, if I click on the app, it will, yes. So it will ask me to connect one of my wallets. I say I want to connect my, you cannot see the other. Okay, so I have over here connected one of my wallets, all right. So it currently doesn't have any balances. So this will come as 0. So basically I can come here, I can give a collateral and I can borrow money, basically supply the liquidity. Okay, and another thing is this platform is governed by the people who lend and borrow from each other. Okay, so basically like I get some tokens called comp tokens, which are governance tokens. Basically, it's like a single person taking a decision on how to operate the platform. It happens via voting. I can come and propose an improvement or change in the system. Others will vote on that. If the vote reaches certain threshold, then it will be taken for the development. Uh, This is on the compo. Where my screen go? Sorry, guys. Okay, this is on the lending and the borrowing part. Now coming on the decentralized exchanges. So Uniswap is one of the decentralized exchange. When I say decentralized exchange, what does it mean? You have stock market, NAC, BAC. Those are centralized exchanges. Okay, so the NAC management team controls the NAC, the BAC teams controls the BAC. On a decentralized exchange, the people trading on the platform controls these things. There is no financial institution involved. So you can go on these platforms, you can become one of the service providers. When I say service providers, it is basically a liquidity provider kind of thing, where on stock markets, there are like, I'm not sure if liquidity providing is legal or illegal. Basically, these are the people who say you are trading in Reliance share and you put an order on the order for say buying 1,000 Reliance shares. If there are no sellers, your order won't go through. But what will happen is these liquidity providers ensure that your transaction gets through. So this is something like I'm not sure like whether it's legal or on the traditional stock exchanges. So Uniswap is one of these decentralized exchanges. What also happens is you can create tokens of these real life assets which are being traded on the stock exchange, and you can invest through blockchain in these tokens. So there is these are called derivatives or synthetic tokens, which whose value is pegged to the real life asset. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting thing. So, this is the insurance platform, a decentralized insurance platform. So, in the current insurance, what happens is I'll go to my insurer. Okay, I'll ask, okay, boss, I need an insurance. Okay, these are my documents, these are my details. Are you going to give me an insurance? What happens on Nexus Mutual is there are I'll go and approach them. Okay, I need insurance. These insurance can be anything. Currently, this is limited since these are like very limited niche area. This is towards like kind of key. You have certain digital asset at some crypto exchange. If that exchange gets hacked and you lose your crypto, so Nexus Mutual will pay. These are that kind of insurances. Like in reality, like the theft protection insurance. Your iPhone gets stolen, so the insurance company pays you certain amount. Okay, these we have spoken about lending, decentralized exchange, insurance. The next topic is very interesting right now. Say when Bitcoin was invented, it was invented as a payment mechanism, but definitely within its current situation or the current configuration, it cannot compete with Visa, MasterCard, and all the payment providers. The reason being, it cannot handle that many transactions. The Visa network can handle, say, 100 lakh, 200 lakh transactions a minute. Bitcoin is not able to scale that much. So Lightning Network is one of the level 2 solution which works on the Bitcoin blockchain, which enhances the throughput of the Bitcoin blockchain. So this is like decentralized payments. So basically, you can buy a cup of coffee using Lightning Network, and you can pay it through your bitcoins. So this is the payment provider. Like compare it with your Visa, Mastercard, ATM, all those different solutions on the blockchain. This Flix is also a similar network, but I don't know much about Flix. So this is on the blockchain side. Let me just quickly go back to the presentation back. Okay. So a couple of features of the DeFi platform, like you can access it from anywhere. These markets are always open. There's no central authority who can deny your payment. So when you initiate a payment, say from your bank account, the bank has all right to say no to that payment. Okay. And this is also fast and cost efficient. So when it comes to providing banking services to all, DeFi has a lot of potential. I know in its current scenario, like the current system, the current shape it is in, we have to do a lot of work to scale it to give all a banking facility, because current systems are a bit complicated for everyone to understand. These people across the globe are working to make it more user friendly so that a lot more people can understand. Okay. Now we have like seen the DeFi. Now let's just see like the CeFi. The CeFi is nothing but your traditional finance or centralized finance. Who controls what? Under your DeFi finance, the custody of the asset is with you. When I say custody of asset is with you, I mean it's like in my bitcoins are with me. I control. This is my wallet. Nobody can take this. If I lose access to this wallet, okay, I have my private key. Till the time I control my private key, nobody can take my bitcoins or my cryptocurrency or my digital assets from me. Whereas in a centralized finance, the custody is with the bank. You have to trust with the bank that they will safely keep the funds. The control, again, the control is with me. I can choose where I want to spend, where I want to keep my digital assets. But with the centralized finance, it's like you have to trust the company. They will control the money. They will decide where to invest, how to invest. You have no say in that. The transaction time is immediate on the blockchain, whereas on the your normal payment systems, the traditional finance system, it can take 2 to 3 days. For cross-border payments, it's 3 days. For IMPS, it ranges from 5 to 10 minutes. Accessibility. This is very important. So the blockchain is open to everyone. Anyone can go and create an account and can start availing the services. But for in traditional finance, I have to go and request the financial institution, I want to avail the services, please give me your services, and the financial institution has all right to deny services to me. Now coming the timings, the decentralized markets are open 24/7, whereas your normal banks operate only during specified hours. Transparency, this is very important. Okay, the decentralized finance, the concept of blockchain is like bringing transparency. It's like making information available to all. But the banks, okay, they are a closed book. You cannot demand to see their books. And we have seen like what has happened. You take Yes Bank case, you take Lehman Brothers, you take any other Lakshmi Vilas Bank, okay? All these, and there was another recent case, PMC Bank, I think. Yeah, where the depositors suffered due to the mismanagement by management of the money by the bank officials. All right, what they were doing, it was not visible to all. So that's one of the benefit which blockchain brings into the picture. And the last point is privacy. The transactions on blockchain are pseudo-anonymous. Okay, they're not completely anonymous. When I say pseudo-anonymous, Lavneet Bansal can still be identified on the blockchain, but on the blockchain, Lavneet Bansal will be represented by an alphanumeric character. Depending on what kind of blockchain it is, it can happen. Either it's my name is there or an alphanumeric identity is there. But with banks, the services are linked with Lavneet Bansal. Banks track everything, every transaction I do with my name, with my real identity. Okay. Now, like guys, I have reached like pretty much end of my presentation. All right. Before like I close out and we go for question answer session, I wanted to tell you like the very first the title of my presentation was blockchain revolution. Why I call this technology a revolution? Because the potential is immense. I just touched upon 3 topics, but if you go and research, you will find a lot of use cases, a lot of people working to make the current existing system open, transparent, and work in a better and efficient manner. So what I touch is just a drop in the ocean, all right? And this space is vast. Nobody is expert because this technology is itself like a decade old. Like go out, have like read on the internet, about the technology, how it functions, how it can be used in different sectors. probably like every industry currently like is experiencing a eureka moment due to blockchain. And the first recommendation I'll give you, like, read the Bitcoin white paper, not because like I'm want to promote Bitcoin, but I want, like, that was the starting point for the blockchain. Like, that paper laid out how a blockchain would function, because previously people attempted to create such a solution, but Bitcoin was the first fully functional blockchain solution. So you can say like Bitcoin is the first use case, and the very famous use case of the blockchain. And I'm happy to take any questions you have. Okay, there is a question about NFT. Okay, so NFT means non-fungible. Okay, let's just briefly check like what is fungible and what is non-fungible. So consider this book. Okay, this book is fungible. Say if I lend you this book out, okay, and you somehow lose it or it gets damaged, you can give me another same book. Okay, I won't be like, I don't care much about this thing because the book is perfectly replaceable. But say I give you a painting created by me. I'm like a master, like the Picasso level painting. Like, okay, and you, instead of returning that painting back to me, okay, you return your own creation. That won't be acceptable to me because my painting was one of its own. It was unique. Okay. So same is the fungibility. That uniqueness property is called non-fungibility. And if it is common, it's not unique. This is called fungibility. So a 100 rupee note is equal to another 100 rupee note. You can easily replace. But digital arts landowner cannot be replaced. So the NFT is just not a digital art. It just represents anything unique on the blockchain. It can be an art, it can be a collectible, it can be ownership to vehicles, ownership to land, ownership to property. Yes, in the digital art market is currently like the NFT market is very hot right now. You see a lot of news that NFT sold for $16 million and so on and so forth. But if you look beyond the art market, the blockchain has, like, the NFT has a lot of potential in proving the ownership. Say since most of you are students, your certificates can be issued on the blockchain. Those are tempo proof, and when you have the custody of your NFT, you can prove it. You own that certificate. So something like called something similar to Digi Locker. Yes, the tweet sold by Jack Dorsey falls under NFT because that is one of a kind. Escrow and letter of credit. Okay, understand what escrow is. Escrow is a third party, say where Pranali, you and me enter into a transaction. All right, what happens is there is a risk that one of us won't fulfill the commitment we have given to each other. So what we'll do is, okay, we agree that Pratma ma'am is a neutral third party. We will, I'll, as a, say, I am a buyer. So I'll give that money to Pratma ma'am because I don't trust you. All right. So what will happen is when you send me the goods, Pratma ma'am will give you the money. Since she's a neutral third party, she'll say, okay, the transaction Pranali has fulfilled her part of the transaction, and so Lavneet has to pay Pranali. So in the letter of credit, what happens is the financer has paid the supplier. Now the goods are with him. Now there is a risk involved. The buyer won't pay at the port of destination, and buyer has a risk. Say the financer won't give him the bill of lading, and he won't be able to claim the goods. So what these guys do is they deposit both the amount and the ownership bill of lading into a third party, a neutral third party. Once the goods are inspected and buyers say it's completely it's fulfill it meets the quality, it is actually the same quality and the quantity, and he agrees, then the escrow will release the NFT to the buyer to go to the port and claim the ownership. and it will release the money to the financer. Okay, and in case there is a dispute, then the escrow will go through the documents, through the evidence, and then will accordingly decide whether to trigger an insurance claim or and whose claim the favor in whose favor the claim needs to be passed. How supply of currency is controlled in cryptocurrency? Okay, the cryptocurrency say Bitcoin is like hard coded at 21 million. Different currencies follow different tokenomics. Tokenomics is nothing but how many tokens would be created, how that will be distributed. So you have to go and look at the tokenomics of each and every currency because that will differ. But anything related to Bitcoin has a 21 million fixed supply. Okay, there is a coin. Bitcoin trading is illegal in India. Currently, it's not illegal in India. It is in the gray area right now because there is no regulation as such. We believe that the government is working on a regulation, and we are hopeful that they will bring a positive regulation. Because say Bitcoin gives another asset class for people to invest in. But we look Bitcoin not as a utility or a store of value. We look at its potential more than that. Any other questions, guys? How does one make changes in multiple blocks at a okay? So making changes in multiple blocks, what happens? Say take for example the Bitcoin blockchain. You have currently like around 6 lakh blocks. If you go and want to make change at say block number 1 lakh, what you need to do is you need to have like enough computing power, make change in the 1 lakh block and change all the subsequent block. When I change the subsequent block, you have to calculate the hash, the nonce of all the blocks, the new blocks. And what will happen is any tampering, others will come to know because the copy of ledger is in everyone. If you are making this change in your ledger and others don't accept that change, your ledger will become orphan. Orphan basically means like nobody is going to create blocks on that ledger. Bitcoin is a fully transparent system. Yes, you can go and see which wallet owns how much Bitcoin, what transaction was done, and you can see the transaction history till the creation of that coin, which is not currently possible, say, with the banknotes. So what is the scope of finance in this? So finance is something you will find at every industry, every company. Without finance, organizations cannot function. Probably it seems like the most boring option, but it is the most important one also. Okay, so the trade forward, there is a question on the currency fluctuation rates. Say, Pranali, the rates are fixed. So probably the rates would be fixed into a currency which is digital in nature, whose value would be pegged to a real currency. So the trade forward team can create a token which would be used only on the trade forward blockchain, which could be equivalent to $1. And the pricing would be like the $1 value. Say in India, I am importing. So the value is fixed at say $100,000. At the time of settlement in India, I'll pay trade forward team $1 lakh into the current INR USD rate. Guys, like if you have question on the blockchain, that would be like I'll be more than happy to answer. On Bitcoin, we know like currently no one knows like when the government is going to bring in the regulation. So like the trading and the regulatory part, say in India it's not there, but a lot of countries, say Singapore, Japan, US has already started regulating these currencies in one form or the another. I cannot tell you like which currency is good to invest because I'm not qualified to do that. Token. Okay, token is say token is similar to the Bitcoin is a utility token. On a blockchain, you transact unique tokens. Tokens like say casino chips. Casino chip is a kind of token. You hold it, tells you the value, like the holder. No, that's not a proper example for a token. Token is something like digital keys, you can say. Um, I cannot think of a perfect example to give you, Pranali, for the token right now. But I'll definitely like after the lecture, I'll give you a proper difference, like how the best definition for token. Any other questions, guys? Digital signature. I'm assuming like you mean by what digital signature mean. So digital signatures, we have these the MCA one kind of like we get a pen drive and you put in and you just sign this thing out. In cryptography, this is based on public key infrastructure, where I have a public key and there is a private key associated with that private key, a public key associated with that private key. So to access my Bitcoins on this wallet, I need that key. That key is a 24 character, sorry, 24 words, which basically unlocks my Bitcoin. Okay, a token is only used on the blockchain. It is not in the banking account. So banking account, you have the fiat currencies, your INR. So like 1 rupee represents 1 unit. So token is a unit kind of, you can say. This is very specific to the blockchains. Ashok, I cannot answer for on the investment side of cryptocurrencies. I'm not qualified to do that. I'm not a professional stock market investor and advisor, so I cannot advise you on stock investing also. Blockchain definitely matters for financial services. Your accounting gets impacted, your trade finance, KYC. In stock market, your settlement will can happen over blockchain. So I think NYSE has worked on a pilot to issue bonds on blockchain. So your accounting will slowly will add, we will see a third dimension, but not today, but definitely tomorrow. But that tomorrow is how far away, I cannot um, predict at this moment. Okay, layman example on blockchain. Okay, I'll again give the same example which I gave in the starting. Dr. Nilesh. Dr. Nilesh, say this is a book, my notebook. These are blank pages. If you take a page from this out, I will never come to know because these are not linked with each other. Similarly, what happens, say, in the book, I have page numbers printed on each page. Okay. If you take a page out, I'll come to know a page is missing. But what will happen if you go on page number 100 and you change some content that I will not come to know? Okay, so what will happen is like key. So what is the solution? So I need a way to link the content of my previous page with the subsequent page. So what blockchain does is it takes the content of first page, it condenses that content into a alphanumeric string, which is called a hash. And to generate a hash, you have various algorithms. The beauty of this hash is if in the content of the page, even a full stop, a comma, a space changes, this hash will change. And what blockchain does is it takes this hash and it add the next block which gets created after this last page. It takes the hash of the previous block or the previous page and it adds into its header. Header is basically you say page number. So if you change the previous page, any content, my hash will change and my header or the page number of the next block will also change. Then I'll come to know ki, okay, somebody has tampered with the previous page. Okay, Mohit, 256 characters in a hash. Mohit, I'm not sure exactly, but probably yes, because there are different algorithms. My understanding is SHA-256 has 256 bit characters in the hash, and SHA-512 is 512 characters. But I need to cross check that thing. Okay, I'll just show you an example. Just give me a second. All right, guys.
Meantime, I request all of you to fill up the feedback form.
Hello. Yeah, I'm back. Okay. So somebody asked like if the private key is recoverable. So this is my hardware wallet. So when I created this hardware wallet, a seed got generated. The seed is like 24 characters in length, 24 words basically. I cannot show you the seed because this is like right now. But under this is a tamper-proof bag. Like I have written the seed on a piece of paper and I have sealed it in this bag. Okay, what will happen is tomorrow I lose access to this wallet. I can go and buy a new hardware wallet. And with the help of these words, I can recreate my old wallet and I can recover my Bitcoin. But if I lose access to these seeds, then I will lose access to my Bitcoins for forever. Who will make the rules in blockchain financing? Uh, Rules in the sense I like I'm not sure the regulators are involved, like how much would be there. Regulatory clarity is still awaited. These are like I told you like these are still pilot projects happening. So on the rules part, with the time we will come to know. Dr. Nilesh, I didn't understand your question. Like it's the same as cryptography, then what's the need of blockchain? Blockchain uses cryptography to bind this information together. So it becomes tamper proof, it becomes immutable. Cryptography and wallets are different things. Okay, cryptography is basically signing something with the wallet. Wallets use cryptography. Okay, different wallets can have different blockchains can have different kinds of cryptography involved. So cryptography is like signing or verifying authentication mechanism. Your blockchain financing is similar to your trade finance, like how you account for your letter of credit and all that stuff. Say, Sharon, if you can like get into a blockchain company, that would definitely help. But what you can start doing is you can start learning out on blockchain, all right, and you can start figuring out which company is working on what side of blockchain related projects. Because still, this is a very niche area, so you have to go and do actual research. Books related to blockchain. Okay, I can give you the very first book I want to recommend is Digital Gold by Nathaniel Copper. So it just gives you an idea like what was the history at the time of creation of this Bitcoin and blockchain. The next book I'll recommend is you read The Truth Machine. It gives you use cases on the blockchain, like how blockchain can help you in different industries. Then there is a book called Blockchain Revolution. So these three books are good to start with. Why there is no process to reset the password and why only 3 chances are given to unlock it. I am not really clear on the question right now, like in what parlance you are asking that question. Pranali, like there is no specific field to enhance your knowledge of blockchain. It's just you have to like keep reading about this stuff. Say, I am into this industry, so I keep interacting with people. All right, but say if you're into any other industry, this is completely dependent on your efforts, how much effort you take, how much passionate you are about to learn these technologies. Definitely, you can reach out to me or different people who are in this space, and we can help you any way we can. Yes, I can paste the book name. This is Bitcoin Revolution. Oops. Any other questions, guys? Which is the company you're working? Okay, I'm working with ZepPay. ZepPay is a cryptocurrency exchange operating in India. Uh, Anamika, like this is not the correct forum to speak about the investigations. This we have to take it offline. Pranali, I'm sorry, I'm not clear with the question. Like the blockchain is leading industry. MS, like I have not seen like what we are seeing or have experienced with any of the centralized exchanges or even on the hardware wallet. So it's always possible to unlock it, your password. So till the time you have access to your seeds, it's always you can always recover your Bitcoin. Any other questions, like guys, or like are we done with the questions? Pranali, risk is with everything. It's with investing in stock market, with crypto market, or any other asset you are investing in. So you have to like understand the risk involved. Who sets the Bitcoin price? The Bitcoin price is set by the demand and supply. It's not. It's similar on the stock market, like the how the value of Reliance share is. It based on the fundamentals of the company and what people are willing to pay for that. So same as with the cryptocurrencies, it's basically depends on what problem that particular blockchain is solving, how people have confidence in that chain, and how much worth they think the chain is. Pranali, I just told I work with ZipPay.
Lavneet sir.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, sir. We have another 3 sessions again on this application of blockchain in accountancy and in banking. So I guess students will get answers from there too, because this is
Yes.
not the only session. So we will wind up, sir, if you're
Sure,
done
ma'am.
from your side.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
I'll just stop sharing my
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. Over to Dr. Nanda, ma'am.
Yeah. Um, Participants, I wish you have enjoyed the session. We have already shared the feedback link in the chat box. Please fill it up. That is highly important for us. We have reached to the end of the first day of workshop. Briefly, our resource person has discussed the working, use, and types of blockchain. Apart from that, the blockchain framework was discussed. In the cases of triple entry accounting, cross border payments, trade finance, and so on. He also explained how blockchain helps in reducing the time in the process. Thank you, sir, for such an informative session, and I appreciate the way you have taken up the queries. Looking at the chat box, I can say we do have an enthusiastic and knowledgeable audience. To further enhance our knowledge, we have another session tomorrow at the same time. I expect you all to join for the same, and we can wind up the session today now. Have a great evening, and I wish you a great learning from this session. Thank you, Lavneet sir. And I expect you to join tomorrow also for the session.
Definitely, ma'am.
If possible, please join.
And thank you so much to the faculty of the Vidyalankar College for inviting me to speak over here. It was also a great learning opportunity for me with by interacting with all the audiences. Thank you to everyone for being such a great audience.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And participants, please fill the feedback form which is in the chat box, and please join us tomorrow for another informative session.